Okay, so another SPQR scenario, once again using the Beneventum map. Now this one's the third battle of Nola. This is after Cannae. Really, the only pitched battles that were offered were by Marcellus. We have the Marcellus packet of scenarios. The last time we saw him in a fight, he was against the Celts. I think he beat them pretty badly. Here, he's been fighting draws, essentially, against Hannibal, which you could say is pretty impressive in and of itself. He's fought a couple of battles here at Nola already. One mainly a skirmish, the other one a defensive battle. This one, he's decided to split his forces, and he sent pretty much his velites, his ally cavalry, and the cohorts extraordinaire out from his two consular legions, really, that he has in place. So he's facing the Carthaginians with a lighter force in the front than is normally the case. Now, it's still a pretty potent force, but he's lacking the velites in the front, which I think would make the skirmishers more valuable, and the broken terrain is going to make them too. The Balearic slingers. However, instead of setting up, you kind of have a free setup on this one. Instead of setting up the Carthaginians like they normally would, well, the broken terrain, their setup line restriction, all this leads to devising a different setup. And I've kind of done so here, where I've put the weight of the phalanxes over where the terrain's clearest, thrown some light infantry in front of them, and that's that powerful Iberian light infantry, which we've seen do fairly well. It's not quite legion level, but it's pretty potent. And then the very powerful Numidian cavalry in the front line, with the intention there to try to get around, even though the Roman line is anchored with the woods there. If we look at the terrain effects, woods is not terribly pleasant to cavalry. It's going to cause cohesion hits, but I think the Numidians can take that if they can get the flanking attack there. The Romans have almost no cav here, and they've set it up all over on this side, all 2 units of it. They also don't have a leader who can command the cav except for Marcellus, and again I'm using the Philip marker for this. It's close in values, and I'll try to remember not to use the values exactly. Now, of course, Hannibal himself is an elite leader and very, very effective. And overall, than his other Carthaginian leaders are much, much better than what Rome has. So leadership-wise, he has the advantage. Troop-wise, a little less so, but he's got the numbers here. Okay, so after we look at that right flank, let's look at the left flank. All the skirmishers are concentrated here. A line of elephants behind that. I'm not quite sure what to do with the elephants. I actually think they'd make a better final blow than they make an opening blow. They're kind of dangerous at the beginning of the battle. But they're cheap, and they can negate whatever effect those cav have. Then I've got the Celtic medium infantry, and as things start to break up, that's when I bring in the Celtic lancers as a final blow. Weird setup, not what you'd expect, probably nothing like what was at the battle, but there's no real indication of how it should be set up. In fact, like most of these battles, not a lot's known. Usually we find the deployment from one battle and then use that as a prototype, I guess, for all the battles, more or less. Well, here I've been allowed a little bit of freedom and, tried to set up a little differently, hoping that the weight of the phalanxes can kind of crush the Roman side. The wild card in this is Nero. This is Gaius Claudius Nero, who will be in another battle later, more famous one, and historically he didn't bother showing up. He was either, outmaneuvered or sent too far for his outflank or whatever. I haven't decided yet which direction he's heading in. I'm going to decide that randomly. He's definitely heading. I don't feel like it would be the same battle if I keep him. The other option, he has 4 options. He can come from north, south, or the east. I like north or south better, so I'm going to probably pick one of those two. I think trying to send him east and come directly from the rear seems a little bit too extreme, and it should be harder to get there. But then there's the fourth option of keeping him in the fort and letting him out, and he can be kind of a surprise force in that case. However, a bunch of velites and some cav aren't really that impressive coming in as a reserve. They make a lot more sense as an outflanking force, and I don't think the battle makes sense if you keep them in the fort particularly. Anyway, that's just me. Alright, probably won't start this tonight, but we'll get started when we do. So, I opened things up with the Romans pretty much passing on all their lower ranked leaders. Now this is somewhat of a disadvantage for them, but not really, because they have a very good leader in terms of his command range. So he can cause troops to go forward with their line commands very easily. He's not going to have to roll for strategy too much early, at least. He's got all his commanders within range, I think. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, barely. The reason for this, and I'm a little leery of it because I'd like to advance and give myself more space. I don't have, Scorpios up there to defend me where I think I would for the fort, but so I don't have a lot of running room here if things start going badly. But here's the thing. I want the Carthaginians to come forward. I want this battle to take as long as it can to develop, because Nero's forces don't come in until the second turn at the earliest. I roll at the beginning of each turn, 0 through 4. That's a pretty decent chance to bring them in. So I'm going to force the Carthaginians to come to me. That'll give them time to kind of deploy in the clearer terrain, but that's okay. They're kind of, the way they've deployed with their forces, their heaviest forces sitting in the clear already, means that I'm not really going to gain much advantage. I might have gained an advantage if they came charging forward and then I come slamming towards them. And we'll see, something may develop, but I'm going to force them to move first and come at me before I come at them. And for the Carthaginians, they passed with Hamilcar and moved Hasdrubal forward. Pushes him with his, he managed to get not only 2 momentums, but he also got 2 line commands off of Hannibal's strategy rating beyond his first one, which is free, both as a Carthaginian leader and as the first turn of the game. Now, on the other side, I had to pass with Hamilcar because I put him towards the back. That's going to be it's going to kind of clutter my command, but I'm going to send Mahrabal. Now, it's not specified in the scenario that he only can command Numidian Cav. If I did want to specify that, I could put Hannibal up here, and I think that'll be a fair move. So Hannibal then will be in charge of moving the line forward. Now Hannibal's an elite leader, so he could have triggered a move before him, but he doesn't want to do that at this point in the game. So Mahrabal, I'm going to leave him as the Cav commander only. He can only command Cav. And he'll be able to pull forward. And he's kind of got this plan to try to slip through here. There's some cohesion penalty for going through the woods, but I think the Numidians can handle that. And then Hannibal, I'll move the main force of his infantry line forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He can command this all as a ragged line. And by sending forward the light infantry line first, assuming he gets some, I think he has to roll his strategy rating to send another line command as well, he'd be able to send the meat of his order forward. And then if he gets a third activation, he can send these final Celtic Cav off this way to support that left flank that I'm a little worried about right now. But we'll see how this all turns out. Right now we're going over to the Roman initiative. Marcellus gets the choice. Does he want to launch something? Now, he's not put himself, unfortunately, in a position to make a line command. that's okay. I mean, he could do one with this second line and send that forward first if he really wants to. Does he want to hit those skirmishers and the elephants right behind him? I'm not sure. I'm not seeing any huge advantage to it yet. Okay, so I'm going to move these up for a little bit more density. I want to be able to form that phalanx up as long as I can, as wide a frontage as I can actually, and this will help me do it. All right. So the Carthaginians have moved their entire force forward. They're in striking range. At this point, you might actually see Hannibal. Let's move him a little bit more. He was able to get here. You might see him launch the skirmishers as sort of his pre-move. Try to get them up, get some shots in, soften up that front line of the Romans for the elephants, for the light infantry, etc. And really what we're waiting on here, at the beginning of the next turn, we're going to be able to see, hey, does Nero come in? And one thing we see, the Numidians, these cav, they're all perfectly healed now. Because Maharbal was able to get a momentum, he's able to rally those forces. So they're a real threat to the Roman flank. And there's not a lot they can do about it. They don't have the light troops to handle it. Likewise, we're going to be able to see just how potent the Carthaginian line is up against something without the velites, without the horses, even in this rough terrain. All right, I guess I'm going to load this one up.